Ted with Deadfoot Arms. Today we're talking MCS, Deadfoot Arms MCS, or Modified Cycle System installation videos. This is going to cover all the different variants we have, from straight pistol kits, left and right folders, SCW, tailhook pistol brace, stock versions. There's a common theme that you see here because the Modified Cycle System, the bufferless dual recoil spring technology, is the same throughout any one of the systems. Really what changes is either is it a shortened BCG in our 2.5 versions, our folders, or is it a full-size BCG in the 4-inch pistol kit, the SCW 4s, which are just under 4 inches at 3.9, those variants. The collar that attaches around our shortened buffer tubes, our short receiver extensions, is really what the difference is. So any one of these videos will kind of show you the similarity with them, but we're going to go ahead and go through all of them. So what I have here is for more or less just a complete receiver set. I have the lower receiver. I've already removed the buffer tube brace that was on here, as well as the takedown or the buffer retaining pin and spring. We don't use that in the system. Make sure you take that out. I am going to be very conscious of my takedown pin detents, so we don't lose those. They like to disappear on you really quick. It's a great meme going around with NASA tracking the detents around the world that have flown out of receivers at 10,000 feet per second. First, pistol kit end plate. Little bit difference between a standard receiver extension end plate and ours is we don't have the anti-rotational pin in here. It's a straight through hole. We do have an anti-rotational embossment on it that marries up to your lower receiver to keep it in line. So what I like to do is go ahead and put the lower receiver up and down. I just put the end plate on with the anti-rotation embossment down and just set it on the lower receiver, and you're either going to grab your 4-inch buffer tube or the 2.5. We're going to go ahead and just get it started and thread it on while I hold it. Once I get it started, I'm going to go ahead and bring it around and align it over the spring so I can kind of put everything in straight without bending that spring, losing it, having any sort of issues there. And I'm going to rotate, thread the buffer tube in the rest of the way and get it tight by hand. Once we're good there, we don't have to worry about losing anything, flying around. I'm going to get it going. The only thing that you'll need for any one of these installations is your trusty buttstock wrench to go ahead and tighten it down. Our buffer tubes have the cuts, so you can go ahead and tighten that up. Once it's to this point, you can go ahead and marry your upper receiver to your lower receiver. Once it's on there, we're going to install the springs. For those familiar, the dual recoil springs has a wider plunger spring and plunger. Those go into the short buffer tube and the receiver first, and then the recoil spring follows. This is for our rifle caliber kits, this being a 300 blackout. Here is the spring setup. You'll see for pistol caliber, 9mm. So the addition with the springs are different to show different tensions and colors to help you with the install. The 9mm also has a stainless steel spring cap that rides up against the BCG during installation. This helps keep everything from getting out of sync and keeps everything aligned. The much heavier recoil producing direct blowback systems. If you're running something like a delayed or partial delay, you usually will stick with the rifle cal. But direct blowback, that's the system that runs. So we're going to go ahead and install this straight in the back. We take our end cap guide rod assembly, align it through the springs into the short buffer tube. Just thread it 1 or 2 threads in, and we're going to go ahead and check to make sure everything's aligned. Do this by charging the weapon. If it goes all the way back, i.e. you can lock it to the rear, you know you're good. Once you're there, go ahead and thread it the rest of the way in, twist it tight, and you're good to go. One more check. Installed. The 2.5 Deadfoot Arms pistol kit. Next, we're going to jump into SCW installation. If you have the tailhook pistol brace version, the stock version, rifle cal, 9mm, 2.5 or 4-inch, it doesn't matter. Essentially, installation is all the same. The collar, the part that marries up to the lower receiver, held in place by one of the two short buffer tubes, is the same, so installation's the same. This one we're going to show, we're going to use a 2.5 and a tail hook pistol brace. Fully ATF compliant. So I like to do the same thing. Take my lower receiver, keep it vertical. I like to set the collar part on the lower receiver, line up the holes, and go ahead and start threading in the short buffer tube. 2.5 or 4, it's identical. And I bring this over and line it up so it can marry. The anti-rotation embossment will go into the back of the lower receiver. Without bending the spring, align it. Once I have it clamped down, I go ahead and tighten it the rest of the way by hand, so then I know I'm good. Once again, our systems do not use the buffer retaining pin or spring. So we always take that out. We don't put that back in when you're attaching one of our products. Grab your buttstock wrench and go ahead and crank it down tight. From here, we can go ahead and marry the upper receiver up to the lower receiver. Attach the two pins, and then we're going to go ahead and install the springs. So for the 2.5, I like to extend it out, gives me a little bit more room to work with. With the SCW 4, you'll take it all the way down to the 2.5 length. With the 4 sticking up past, it makes it nice and easy for dropping the springs in the back. But I'll show you this. Once again, we got our plunger spring and plunger going in first. I like to keep everything vertical when I do this. I'm going to go ahead and put the recoil spring in, as well as the end cap guide rod assembly. I'm going to bring it down, and with one hand, I use like my thumb to hold it in place while I get it twisted. I just get it 1 or 2 threads in, and I go ahead and double check to make sure we have full charge. If we have any issues, I'm going to go ahead and take it out. Nice and easy. I'm just going to go ahead and realign my plunger and plunger spring. Recoil. Make sure it's going in correctly, keeping everything vertical. Thumb over the top. And then we're going to just go ahead and thread it into place. We just get 1 or 2 threads in, just so we know it's not going to come back, and then we just double check it. Make sure it goes all the way back. If you can lock it to the rear, you know you're good. Get it set there. Thread the end cap the rest of the way. Give it a good squeeze, and you're ready to go. We have completed installation for the SCW. This one in particular, 2.5 tail hook pistol brace. All right, before we jump into right and left folders, right hand folders going to the right side of the firearm, left hand folders going to the left side of the firearm, I want to talk a little bit about end caps, because there are 2 different variants. The pistol kit and SCW variants, flat on the back side, has a good look to it. Folder end cap variants have the cutout for the locking mechanism. So I just think that's important to point out before I go there. So there is the ability to switch between, I have a pistol kit, I want to upgrade to an SCW kit, or I want to upgrade to a right or left side folder. The big thing is to look at the end cap that you have, and you might need to get that addition. Now, the standard folding end cap will work with the SCW as well as the pistol kit. It just doesn't have as clean of a look. So first we're going to start with the right folder. So you see here, this is the Gen 2 version. Sleek cuts, better retention, lighter weight, 1.3 ounces. Still has a ton of the great features. Also tightened up when it folds to the side of the firearm. It's 3/8 of an inch closer, brought it in, kind of refined everything. Just a great looking piece. I'm partial, obviously, but first thing you want to do is go ahead and just fold the arm to the side. Once again, we're going to take the lower receiver, put it vertical. I'm going to rest. This time I'm kind of going to do it weird, but I'm going to rest the folding block, circle over circle, up against the receiver while I attach the buffer tube and start to thread it in. Now once I get it and I know it's threaded in, I'm going to come over, bring the folding arm out, bring it a line up that spring so we don't bend it, feed it in, get the embossment in, hold it tight up against there, just finish hand turning your buffer tube. Once again, no buffer retaining pin spring in there. Just fold it to the side, out of the way. Butt stack wrench on, crank it down tight. Once we're here, we can attach our upper receiver to the lower receiver. Sometimes it's easier to move the pin out of the way, but you still have access to everything, so you can get it. So at this point, we're gonna go ahead and put this plunger spring in, plunger, recoil spring, guide rod assembly. Make sure everything stays aligned while we do it. Just wanna thread it, 1 or 2 threads in, to double check alignment before we do it. Once again, as long as you can get lock back, you know everything's aligned, go ahead and tighten it. When we get lock back, what we're doing there is we're making sure that the plunger is seated inside the bolt carrier group. Then you know you're ready to run. From here, you can attach any pistol brace for this, it being a pistol, or stock for your rifle cal versions. It's threaded the same as the back of a lower receiver, 1 3/16 by 16. Here we're going to show attaching our G-Rex pistol brace that utilizes the Mod 1 tail hook by Gearhead Works. Thread on just like you're threading into a lower receiver. You do need a castle nut on to go ahead and tighten it up. And then once you have your alignment correct, you go ahead and take your buttstock wrench and crank it down. And everything's good to go. Right folding adapter from Deadfoot Arms with the modified cycle system, G-Rex pistol brace, tail hook Mod 1. That concludes the installation videos for all MCS variants. Little bit of difference between each, but all can work together because essentially the internals, the modified cycle system, is what makes this work. More information, any questions you have, more videos can be found, deadfootarms.com.